Welcome back to another episode of the Nick Cage Fight Podcast, where teal is the color of your energy. Nope, wait. It's supposed to be amber, but we're covering the movie 211. There you go. That's a weird 90s music joke for you. Slap it up, pigs. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by my co-hosts, Rich and Ryan. How are we feeling about wrapping up this amazing movie 211?
I hate this beautiful disaster.
It's hilariously ridiculous.
Yes. I'll never watch it again.
Did we already say that
please.
Bush did 211?
No, I like that one. Okay, so where we last left off, basically all of the toy race cars have been pulled back and we're letting them go. The special forces guys arrive at the bank, all of them except for the member of their team who set up the bomb at the cafe, rush into the bank, and they start the bank job off right. They menace everybody. They throw somebody on the ground. The guy who set the bomb at the cafe is stationed outside in an Escalade as a lookout. First, they take everybody in the bank's phones. They get all of the employees out from behind the counter. They hit poor Randy, the bank manager, in the stomach with the butt of one of their rifles, and everything looks like it's going to be going just fine. Looks like it's going to go off without a hitch, right? But that wouldn't make much of a movie. So Nick Cage and his son-in-law and Kenny the ride-along actually pull up, and this was a hilarious decision that made me laugh. Right next to this bank is a cafe. It's a different cafe than the bomb cafe. But I was not aware of that at the time when I was first watching the scene, because it's confusing because you have two cafes and a bank robbery, and one is right next to the bank. So Nick Cage and his son-in-law stop at this cafe by the bank so that the son-in-law can run in and buy coffee. Now, this scene is important for basically just one reason. A, for me to understand that it's a different cafe than the bomb cafe. And B, Cage and Kenny have a conversation. Kenny's playing on his phone, and Nick Cage takes it from him and puts it in the glove box and is like, you'll get it back at the end of the day. I hate these fucking things. Why are you guys always playing on your phone? You know, you hit it, kid. That's a serious charge. Like, what's the deal with that? You don't look like a tough guy. And Kenny's just like, I'm bullied all the time at school, and I finally had enough, and I closed my eyes and swung, and that's when the teacher came in. And Nick Cage is like, well, why are you bullied? And he's like, I guess it's just because I'm different. And I did not know what direction they were going with this when we hit this part of the dialogue. But it was fine because the movie didn't know either and didn't fucking elaborate at any point. But
No, never did. It's so bad.
No, like, honestly, my first thought was like, is Kenny's character supposed to be gay? Is he being bullied just because he's black? But that didn't really make sense with the bullying scene, because I thought that would have been one of like the primary motivators, that because since they seemingly were being kind of ham-fisted about trying to address racism in some sort of shape in this movie, incompetent or not, but that was not how they set up the bully scene at all. It was a diverse group of kids that were bullying Kenny. So I thought maybe this is where Kenny says he's gay, and maybe Nick Cage has a problem with that, his character, I mean. But no, they don't elaborate whatsoever. But Nick Cage is like, don't you have any friends who could stand up for you? And he's like, I don't have any friends. And Nick Cage is like, I understand that. So Kenny and Cage have like this weird bonding moment after Nick Cage stole his cell phone from him. But at this point, the son-in-law gets out of the cafe with his coffee and coffee for Nick Cage, and Nick Cage notices the Escalade. Because so here's a quick tip. I've never robbed a bank, and I don't mean to imply that I have any knowledge or useful information for getting away with a bank robbery, but I would say it's probably a bad idea to park your getaway car / lookout vehicle in like a no parking zone in front of the bank, because that's the situation with our super smart special forces bank robbers, and Nick Cage notices it.
It escalates quickly.
It escalates at an absurd pace. So Cage spots this and is like, let's go check out this easy parking ticket we can give. I can't fault him on the logic there. They're like, they got a kid with them. They're like, parking tickets are the order of the day. The fact that they went to a scene where they drew their fucking guns is negligent enough. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that school's getting so fucking
Jump.
sued.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. No computers for computer class from that school, just from that first stop on that ride along. But this seemed like a sensible decision, right? Only us, the viewer, realizes how badly this is about to go. But Cage starts rolling up on it, and Lookout Guy is like, oh no, a cop noticed us. And so he radios inside. And the guy inside goes, all right, let's give him something else to worry about. Set off that bomb in the cafe, but not the cafe that's right next to the bank, because that wouldn't make sense. So Lookout Guy does detonate the bomb in the other cafe, the first cafe that we saw. Do you see why this might be bad writing to have them
Well,
stop
okay,
at
so this is why I actually think that does make sense, because I'm assuming that this cafe is like the bomb cafe. Maybe it's a mile away. Like it gets
They're trying to draw
everybody.
police attention to that cafe.
Right.
Like,
That does make sense to me.
To be clear, my quibbling with the poor writing is
that there's
fact
another
that
cafe right next to the bank,
they
and it's
stop
confusing.
at a cafe right next to the bank for coffee. It could have been, you could have used any other fucking MacGuffin. It could have been a flower store to get flowers for your pregnant fucking wife, son-in-law.
No, it should
That
have
would have been even more poignant.
It should have been a convenience store to get coffee. Honestly, that would have delineated them, and it could have done the same thing.
A bodega.
Yeah.
Anything. They're just
A fucking
reusing assets.
Fucking 7-Eleven, a Dunkin' Donuts. We're in Massachusetts, a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, they got to get their donkeys.
They definitely weren't paying the licensing fee for that.
They just run into Ben Affleck while he's there.
Yeah. Honestly, Ben Affleck's been in a bank, at least one bank robbery movie.
I'm trying to think if he's been in any others. I don't think so.
Hold on, I'll find out.
The Town is the one I'm thinking.
Well, yeah, that's the one that
the one
everybody
with Jeremy
knows.
Renner and his famous knuckles.
And his famous fucking Irish tattoo.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was a good film though. I enjoyed that one. Also, the actress in that, whose name is escaping me right now, is super underrated. She's been phenomenal in everything I've seen her in. But anyway, yeah, it could have been anything other than another cafe. But regardless, the special forces guys, they set off this bomb at the other cafe. And I thought they were going to lean into another element of inexplicable decision making. So like the nice waitress that the bomb planter was sort of flirting with, she luckily goes outside for a smoke right before the bomb detonates and luckily survives. But the bomb goes off while Nick Cage and his son-in-law are rolling up on the Escalade. And they hear the call come in. Like every fucking cop gets scrambled for a bomb going off in the middle of the city. And the son-in-law is like, oh, should we go to that? And Cage is like, no, not with a fucking ride-along kid. We already pulled our guns in front of them. Let's just stick with the parking ticket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which, whatever. It doesn't make any sense, but whatever. When they say all units, they mean all units, Nick Cage.
I'm assuming there is a special dispensation for like accept units with a fucking high school age kid in the back seat. I feel like that's not where you want to take them.
All right.
So that does make sense to a certain extent, but the bombing happens and we get a couple of scenes about that, including Kenny's mom at the hospital prepping the emergency room. Like, let's get all elective surgeries canceled, get all of the sniffles and tummy aches out of the fucking waiting room. Like, we got bomb victims coming in.
As I'm watching this movie, I'm just like, great, another set of fucking characters I need to learn about.
Yeah, not really.
Well, yeah, at first glance, I didn't realize that was the mom.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And then like a minute in, I'm like, oh, okay. But at first I was just like, why does this fucking matter? And then I realized.
All right, the only movie that Ben Affleck has been in with a bank heist is The Town. I just checked his entire IMDb.
Damn it.
So I guess you could kind of count The Accountant, but that was more like fraud than
yeah, that's white collar bank robbery. That's not a heist.
That's true. I do just love that he plays like just an autistic super soldier in the movie.
I like Ben Affleck. He was the bomb in Phantoms.
He was the bomb in Phantoms,
yo. Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo. So that I do have to do a specific call out to one of my favorite scenes in the film. So like SWAT guys show up at the scene of the bombing and they're walking. There's a dramatic scene of them walking towards the camera. And the SWAT guy's like, all right, I want snipers on every one of these roofs. Go. And none of the guys walking behind them divert their path whatsoever. They're like, sure thing, boss, and just keep following them through the fucking scene.
Well, this I feel like this hits a lot of the kind of the tropish things of, SWAT team comes, the Interpol agent comes, and he's just like, we're American, we know better than Interpol, and then Interpol agent like shows everybody up, and they're just like, well, we're still American, and why don't you fuck off back to fucking Europe town?
But no, absolutely. Agent Rossi rolls up. We're Americans, and you're like a foreign police officer. Also, you're a lady cop. And she's like, yeah, but do you know what this explosion was done with? And he's like, probably something like C4. She's like, well, what about this patch I found of C4 wrapping paper? And he's like, oh shit, where'd you find this? And she gives him the address to this warehouse. She's on the tail of these special forces / mercenary dudes. And she does go and to the waitress in the cafe and shows her some pictures. And of course, the waitress picks out the special forces lookout guy, that being our nickname for him in this film, because who the fuck knows what his name is? Nobody ever uses it. But you know what is used often by people? Goods and services. And so here's some ads for some of those.
Maybe some C4, you never know.
Yeah, that would be an interesting ad to get on a podcast. Back to Cage's son-in-law and Kenny rolling up on the lookout guy, and he gets out, and the special forces guy gets out and immediately lights up the police car with the wildest from the hip shooting you've ever seen from a submachine gun.
Yes.
I've
fucking
seen
Grand Theft Auto ass aiming.
I've seen better fucking firearm handling in rap videos. It's absurd.
Yeah, and I don't know why he did this.
I don't either. Literally the worst way he could have gone about it. Just get your fucking parking ticket, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just move the car. Just be like, hey, sorry, officer. It's fine. Whatever. I'll move the fucking car.
Yeah, no, fucking cite me. That's fine. I thought you guys were fucking professionals. But no, he gets out and starts Anyway, he gets out and starts blasting.
Anyway, I started blasting.
So Cage throws the cop car in reverse, ends up T-boning some poor patron trying to like back out. They get into a whole crash. Inside the bank, the bank robbers just execute the security guard that was in the bank for no fucking reason.
Who looked like he was just taking a nap.
Dude, honest, I swear to I don't even think they gave this security guard at this bank a gun. And he's on his belly with his like hands behind his head. And so like inside the bank, the guys are just like, boom, just blow him away. And they're like, all right, this just got serious. It makes no fucking sense.
No, these are the worst bank robbers. Like, if there's a bad decision, they make it.
Honestly, these guys might be stealing valor. I don't think they were ever trained in anything whatsoever. Jesus.
I mean, we don't have any actual evidence that they were, in fact, like any armed forces. We just know they were mercenaries.
True. Well, no. I'm
right.
Sorry. There is specifically a line from Cage's son when they're like, we walk out of here with $1 million. And he's like, that's more than the military ever gave us. Although he could be saying we were never in the military, so they never paid us anywhere.
They never paid us anything.
Yeah.
$1 million sure is more than $0.
Yeah, I mean, the military never paid me either.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid more than I ever did in the military, too.
That reminds me, I can't I cannot remember the origin of it. It is from something, but my roommate who stole a car back when we were in college, I know I've told this story on this podcast. Anytime somebody gave him lip at the bar, he was like, "Listen, asshole, I did not lose a leg in Nam to serve you drinks." And invariably, everybody would look behind the bar and they're like, "You have both of your legs." And he's like, "Yeah, I said I did not lose a leg in Nam."
I think that's a Chevy Chase joke from Fletch.
I know it's from something, but I cannot place the origin of it because it just sort of became ubiquitous to this guy that I live with.
I got to confirm if that's from Fletch or not. Give me a second.
Okay. I would love to know the origin of it because that was a thing for fucking years with us. Very, very similar to another buddy of mine who was a combat veteran.
It's that 70s show.
What was it?
That 70s show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We never watched that. I don't know where we started saying that from.
It's a Mitch Hedberg bit that's on that 70s show.
Okay, that must have been what it was from because we were fans of Mitch Hedberg. But it's again another buddy of mine. Anytime, because he hated making a big deal out of it, but you know when we would go out drinking, there was invariably somebody who would say something about it, and he just stole the line from Tropic Thunder every time. Because it's like whenever anybody's like, "Oh, you know, oh, what'd you carry over there? Like, what was your kit?" And my buddy every time would be like, "I don't know what it's called. I just know the sound it makes when it takes a man's life." That shut down any further questions from the weirdo wannabe military guys that would ask him questions.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Just a little boy holding his dick.
So this, by the way, is another one of my favorite parts of the movie. So the cop car gets into a crash. Nick Cage immediately jumps out and returns fire against an automatic weapon with his like service pistol. But his son-in-law, his belt is stuck. And we cut back to him being stuck, belted into the car like 3 times between cutscenes.
Well, they had to pad the runtime somehow.
Yeah.
Before he finally pulls out a pocket knife that he had the whole time. Like, I thought there was some other reason he wasn't doing something. I was like, oh shit, he doesn't have a knife on him. And then I started thinking, I was like, do cops carry knives? Like, I've never seen. He had a pocket knife this whole time, and he fucked around with that seatbelt for 5 minutes during a live firefight. He finally cuts himself out. Kenny is just on the floor in the back of the police car. Cage and his son-in-law are on opposite sides of the car, but there's some sort of crash prevent. Anyway,
I have no idea how cover works in this movie.
This movie doesn't know how cover works. To be fair, a lot of movies don't understand the difference between cover and concealment, so I can't rag on it too much for that. But the angles don't really add up on this one.
Yeah, because the cop car, like, if we are believing, you know, the scene where they crash and the cop car comes to a stop, the front of the car is facing the bank where they're taking fire. They are both, for some reason, taking cover on either side of the car, which is not providing cover for anybody.
No, so this is another thing. It's essentially a continuity error, right?
Yeah.
So they backed and they T-boned a car when they were going backwards.
Right.
But while the shootout is happening, there is another vehicle that is like at a diagonal with the front of the cop car. So Cage is hiding behind the angle of the cop car that is free of any other vehicles, and his son-in-law pops out but with another car between him and the back seat, right? So they're perfectly in cover, like they can maneuver around to each other, but they make it seem more dramatic than that. Also,
this first villain is a fucking bullet sponge.
Yes, until he's not, but all of them kind of are. So what happens is in the ensuing firefight, Nick Cage manages to put one into the lookout's leg, which is great, except for immediately afterwards, son-in-law and Kenny try and run around to Nick Cage's side of the cop car. And again, ignoring the way we've set up this scene, this exposes them, and his son-in-law gets shot in the fleshy part of the thigh, to do our regular episode Sopranos reference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
another
about
running bit that we haven't talked about in a couple of episodes. That and dick pills.
yeah. So the son-in-law gets shot in the leg, but he gets over to Nick Cage's side of the car. Cage puts a couple more rounds into the lookout guy's chest, but he's obviously wearing a ballistic vest. So he survives this.
He's also running as if he hasn't been shot. He's doing
In
like
the leg.
just
Yeah. He's perfectly fine.
he has like a little limp going on.
We have two extremes of leg wounds in
Yeah.
this scene, right?
This is
So
my
he
this is my favorite part of the movie. It's my favorite, like it's almost a running gag.
Yeah.
so he runs just fine, fleeing from the gunfire, and just executes a lady in the front seat of her car. This is one of my issues that action movies suffer from to a certain degree in general, but this movie suffers from to a higher degree because they put no thought into it. The murder of so a bunch of people get killed in action movies all the time. What is supposed to be like different in tone is the murder of civilians. It's supposed to hit a little bit different instead of bad guys and good guys like shooting each other up. This guy unceremoniously murders a woman to steal her car in the same way that the guys inside the bank unceremoniously murdered the guard for no reason and with no purpose. But he kills this lady and takes her car and tries to drive away. But his path out it like intersects immediately with where Cage is holed up, and Cage shoots him directly in the fucking face as he drives by. So farewell, look out, special forces guy. We never even caught your name. But now we get to the one of the funny parts, right? So the son-in-law is now on Nick Cage's side of the police vehicle, and he's like, I'm going cold. I'm gonna die. He pulls open his fucking he tears his pants open, and there's an obvious flesh wound there. It's a flesh wound. It doesn't seem to have hit anything important. In fact, in my notes, I'm like, he is way overreacting.
There is not enough blood for that to be fatal.
There
Like,
was not.
You could theoretically hit an artery in the leg. That is not what happened here.
You could. I mean, the femoral artery is there, but it's on the inside of your thigh, and the rest of your thigh is mostly like muscle and fat.
Yeah.
It's
like one of the safest places to get shot, honestly.
Again, Sopranos episode.
Yes.
They specifically picked that for a reason. So anyway, so we we cut to another scene or two. I think this is the point where like the daughter is like pulling out shit to decorate a baby room, which includes a fucking cop mobile for
yes.
for a crib. The most like not even Paw Patrol. It's just like full on lights and sirens cop cars. It's absurd.
Like it's just first responders. It's mostly cop cars, but there's like one fire truck.
There is a fire truck. And then she like turns on the TV for some, I can't even remember why. And now she sees the news of the bombing and shit like that. So when we cut back to the son-in-law, who seemed like he was really overacting, when we cut back to him, he looks like he's done up in makeup because he's about to star in a Twilight film. He is pale.
He looks like Nosferatu
shit.
with hair.
For real. He looks like emaciated and anemic in the span of like 30 seconds as far as the film is concerned. It's amazing. The pool of blood around him has not advanced at all either. But now police backup is arriving from the bombing site, which is nothing is going on there. It was just a bomb went off, you know what I mean? So they're finally starting to arrive, but the special forces guys are breaking out the big guns. And I didn't write down all of these scenes, but I just want to paint the picture for you. Every time we cut back to the special forces guys, they're like either loading up money or smoking cigarettes or eating MREs. And they have like the most generic, like mercenary lines, whatever. It's like, oh, this reminds me of that time in this place. Like, how many kills did you get that time? It was like 32. It was like, yeah, certified mass murderer. That's one of these is the one where Cage's kid is like, he's like, look, it'll be fine. We'll get out of here regardless with $1 million. And it's like, that's more than the military ever paid us. it's all stock shit. You can make it up in your head. I can guarantee you got an 80% hit rate for a verbatim line from this film.
So every now and then, too, they cut back to Cage's son-in-law, who is just screaming that he's dying. And it's like it cuts back once every 5 minutes just to remind us. And it's just the funniest shit. Because I'm watching it and I'm like, no, you're not. You're not.
To be fair, after the first scene where he's complaining, it was like, he's being kind of whiny about this situation. When they cut back to him the next time, I'm like, oh shit. It's like the scene from What We Do in the Shadows. It's like the movie when they cut back to Vladislav and he looks like a super old man. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But Rich, I'm glad you brought that up because we're getting to another one of my favorite scenes from this film. We get a scene where the son-in-law is like, we're like, Kenny, again, this is where like the relationship between Kenny and the cops goes completely off the rails. Because Cage is
such
like
a good scene.
Cage is firing at the bad guys, and Kenny is like, no, you can't die. Like, stay awake, you can't die. What can I do to help? It's like, this is the dude who was just trying to do the scared straight routine on you like earlier. You had no defining moment with him. What do you give a shit?
I mean, I feel like he just doesn't want to see a man die in front of him. This
I
is
mean,
more
that's
for
fair.
It's
That
more
is
for
fair.
Kenny than it is for faceless, nameless cop number one.
But also, I would be more concentrated on me not dying in that situation.
Agreed. Kenny is a sweet soul in this film. I don't want to say anything bad about him, but his relationship with the cops doesn't make any fucking sense.
Again, his personality trait is that he has a cell phone.
Yeah. So he's like, no, you can't die. Like, tell me what to do to help. And the son-in-law is like, I want you to make a video of me. And Kenny's like,
but he also says a line like, do you have that newfangled camera phone?
And this is in 2018.
Yes.
So I legitimately thought this was going some other direction and that it was going to be a complete tonal dissonance and the cop's going to be like, here, Gavin, did you see me dab?
Yeah, honestly, that would have pushed this movie into Between Worlds territory.
That might
I'm
have
not
made this
gonna
a
lie.
good movie. Yeah.
But no, he's like, you gotta make a video for me. And then so Kenny starts recording. He's like, I can't remember his wife's name, Cage's daughter. He's like, I'm sorry. I know I said I was gonna come home safe, but it's not gonna happen. I love you. I love our kid. Speaking of our kid, hey son, she just found out she was pregnant. I'm your dad. The line literally is, hey kiddo, I'm your dad. I wrote it down because I was like, it's so fucking stupid.
I kept waiting for do you remember the 30 Rock bit where Jack has a heart attack, so he makes like a video for any future kids he may have?
Yes.
And it's just him rambling for 4 hours. And the last thing was like, now, doing a backflip is 90% mental, 10% physical. And he's about to do a backflip, and then the scene just cuts.
God, I love 30 Rock. Live action fucking Muppets ass show.
So he does this whole thing. He's like, sorry I couldn't be there for you, kiddo, but I had to die heroically as a cop. just the most ridiculous shit, but a great scene in my opinion. And this is where I explicitly put in my notes, Kenny and the son-in-law are acting way too close considering they've known each other for maybe 25 minutes at this point, and it has been contentious most of the time. But the backup cops show up, they grab the son-in-law, and they're like, we gotta get him to medical. And so Cage and the other cops carrying son-in-law flee from where they are in cover, and nobody remembers Kenny.
Yeah.
Hang on, because we do hit a plot point here, but one that was very funny. Because it shows as he's recording son-in-law, it's like the battery's at like 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Right after he's done recording, the phone dies. No phone in the history of phones has gone from 10% to dead in 3 minutes.
Well, this was 2018 phones. Maybe he just had a older model.
Yeah, maybe he had like an iPhone 4 that he'd been holding on to until 2018,
He
and
got
the
hit with
That
planned
planned
clearly was
planned
not
obsolescence, baby.
clearly was not iOS. And clearly was obsessed with his phone. So I think like he would have stayed up on the trends.
But that's not actually. It's funny that you mentioned that because that's not even the fucking dumbest shit that happens with this phone in this
Oh
movie.
no, not even
There is
close. But
the
there's just a
most
plot
ridiculous
point
thing.
because the phone dies, and like that's
Yes.
important. I wouldn't say anything in this movie is important, but it's a beat.
It's important for the setup for one of the dumbest scenes in the film. So the cops drag the son-in-law back. They put him on a stretcher. There's a whole scene where he's like looking up at the sky through the trees as he's being carried. It's like a full death scene. Like all of the light is oversaturated and shit.
You know what this fucking whole arc has like the vibes of?
Hmm.
The scene from Moonstruck where the kid, not the kid, but the guy is on the phone saying his mother is dying, what's he going to do? His mother is dying, and the mother's just in the
I'm
background.
fine.
Like, I'm fine giving him the Italian hands.
Yeah.
Like, this
That's
whole
perfect.
storyline has that vibe.
That is a perfect comparison, man. That is spot on. But it's trying to do it straight faced.
Yeah.
Which is the
Right.
wrong way to do it.
Well, no, because Moonstruck was an actual good movie. This
Yeah,
was
you know
dog
what?
shit.
If they went the Naked Gun route with this movie, I would have liked it a lot more.
Where like everything is played straight in the actual foreground, but in the background there's like dudes
Yeah.
falling off of fucking the side of a building and then shattering like porcelain as he hits the ground.
Yeah, my favorite joke from any Naked Gun movie is he's on the ground and this woman is on the ladder pulling stuff out of her attic, and he can see up her skirt, and he says, "Oh, nice beaver. Thanks, I just had it shaved." And she just pulls down a stuffed beaver and hands it to him, and
Yeah.
just gets it.
I love the Naked Guns.
Fucking love the Naked Gun movies.
That was everybody was on Twitter. They were doing a favorite fictional cop, and the Naked Gun one was passed around with some regularity.
Absolutely. Frank Drebin is the man. My favorite bit from that series is the opening credits always being the cop car driving through like a mall.
Yes. No, the only better cop than that is Jimmy McNulty, but only when drunk.
Yes. I don't know, man. The bunk. I love the bunk.
Drunk bunk is a top tier bunk.
Correct.
When he tries to burn his clothes when he's wasted cheating on his wife is amazing.
Yes.
Chief Wiggum's got some shout outs too, which is fair.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, during the retreat, what happens is Kenny drops his phone, goes to pick it up. Gunfire hits like around his feet, so he just dives into a random truck. When they get the son-in-law to the ambulance, they put him on a stretcher, and they're like, no signs of vitals, which I don't think is actually what you say when you just check for a pulse and can't find a pulse. But regardless, they load him in the back of the ambulance. They fucking cart him off. And this is the point where Cage finally realizes that Kenny is missing. Like Rich set us up for, Kenny's phone has died. He realizes this is after he dives into the truck. Kenny starts MacGyvering a fucking phone charger by taking like a car charger plug-in to like the cigarette lighter and the like wiring from a Tammy Talks a Lot doll and rubber banding it together with a key and a fucking 9-volt battery.
Yep. That's exactly what he did.
And somehow gets enough charge on his phone to call his mom. Meanwhile, Cage's daughter has called Cage because she's tried calling her husband and not been able to get through. And Cage is like, honey, I'm sorry. He's at the hospital. It's not looking good.
He's dead as shit.
Yeah. He's like, I thought it was just a flesh wound, but then he turned white as a ghost, man. I don't know what happened. He looked like shit when they put him in that ambulance.
He's haunting me already.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else is haunting you?
Goods
These
and
ads.
services?
Yes.
There you go.
Ooh. I'm sorry, I have no solid way to bring us back from that, so we're just going to start talking about this fucking movie again.
No, I was looking for a segue into the ads. Thank you for forcing our hand on that one.
Yeah. Whenever I normally just see like, oh, it's ad time, I'm just going to take the last thing you said and just be like, well, you know what else is like the thing Josh just said.
So
Ads.
the daughter rushes off to the hospital, and there's no security at this hospital, no protocol that's being followed. She like runs into where her husband is being like prepped to be
No,
operated on.
hold on. They are literally masked up, are doing some sort of work on him, and like she just goes and contaminates this area, not knowing how hospitals work. And then she goes and sees the mom of Kenny, who is working on somebody with all of these open wounds, and goes and immediately contaminates that area.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry.
This woman's a menace.
I have to backtrack briefly. So remember those side cop characters that we talked about briefly, and we also mentioned that the special forces guys were breaking out the big guns. Just to give you the rundown on what happens there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Our side cop characters are part of the backup. The special forces big guns are like this giant sniper rifle, and emo special forces, Nick Cage's kid, is just he shoots at Nick Cage while he's trying to get a tourniquet for the son-in-law, but misses him, and then shoots one dude directly through the ballistic vest, just kills him dead.
And my favorite part of that is like Nick Cage doesn't notice. There's no flinch. Like, whoa, what was that? It was just doesn't notice.
Yeah, I don't think the director told him he was going to be getting shot at in that scene.
Yeah, they just added it. Like, oh, we gotta throw some drama on this.
So at some point in this, the badass woman cop who was making fun of the new cop for not being able to shoot well got shot in the neck. So while pregnant lady is in the hospital and her husband is fucking comatose, can't give her any answers, badass lady cop gets wheeled in.
But also, just to be absolutely clear, like she gets hit in the neck. We see this gun literally tear somebody apart.
Yeah.
And she's just like chilling with a neck wound, like, oh, I can tell this whole story and be fine.
Well, to be fair, she tells the story and then immediately dies.
You see, I didn't even realize she died. That's how much I retained from this fucking movie.
Yeah, she was like, Cage and your husband rolled up on a traffic stop, but it was a bank robbery. We're way outgunned. And she dies.
All right.
And during this exchange, Kenny's mom realizes that that's the cop car that her son was in. And she's like, what the shit? And her phone starts ringing, and it's Kenny's special ring. So pregnant lady reaches into her pocket to answer the phone for her. And that's where Kenny uses his MacGyver skills with the charging his phone. This is the payoff for it, him calling his mom.
I watched this with an electrician. He said that would not work.
Also, I feel like this is the only part of the movie that like somebody at a hospital probably course corrected this scene, because you know they originally had her just reach into her pocket and start talking.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, hey, that's not how that would work in a hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, also, no shit, that wouldn't work. The whole thing was absurd.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see MacGyver shit and I'm like, maybe. I'm not smart enough to know if that's going to work or not. Look, I only know movies.
There's a whole subreddit just called Redneck Engineering that I have seen some weird shit work.
I have seen some of that specific subreddit, and yeah.
You'd be surprised. The vehicles are always the vehicle shit is always the stuff that surprises me with that one.
Rednecks get shit done.
Yeah, it's true.
Like listen here, Hamilton. Immigrants, no. Rednecks.
So Rossi shows up at this point to the bank job, and this is another great scene because she shows up when Nick Cage is briefing the SWAT team on what happened, and he's doing like the police talk, like this is what I remember seeing, like this is what happened, blah blah blah.
Oh, this is the one sort of okay unhinged Cage scene. Like I remember watching it being like, it's fine for unhinged.
Well, I do want to call back to one moment. I forgot to mention it at the time. When the son-in-law is like, I'm dying. There's a scene where Nick Cage goes, if you fucking die, I'll kill you myself. That's the literal line. Is if you fucking die on me, I'll kill you myself. But no, he gets agitated with the SWAT team questioning and, their approach to the situation. He's like, my son is dead. Which is more emotion than he shows for anything else involving his daughter or pending grandkid or any of that shit.
I mean, he always wanted a son.
That's fair.
Yeah, one can assume.
Maybe he was talking about Weston Cage. Did Weston Cage die during the filming of this?
No, he's still
No,
doing
he's
stuff.
still doing stuff. Okay.
Yeah, he's still hanging out doing stuff.
Yeah. So Rossi attempts to like brief the SWAT guys. She's like, listen, these special forces guys, you have no idea what they did in Kabul. They're experts at redirecting, enemies' tactics and shit like that. Like when you go to bust in on them, they're gonna turn it on you. They're geniuses. You don't get it. And the SWAT guys is like, that's great, but we got our orders, so sorry.
Remember that they're geniuses and they will
Yeah.
turn it on you. Remember that. That's important.
So then we come back to the bank. Another generic scene with the special forces guys like eating MREs and shit. And they're like, yeah, we're ready to, as soon as they attack us, we'll
execute
our plan.
Execute our genius plan.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to be ready for this.
So the lead special forces guy, the leader dude, goes back out to where all the hostages are, and it turns out one dude didn't turn over his cell phone when everything was going on, and the leader special forces guy catches him because this guy is the least subtle human being on the face of the fucking planet. There were so many opportunities for him to hide this phone, but the special forces guy catches him. And,
it looks like he's playing like Candy Crush or something.
I know.
It looks like he's not even doing anything.
It might
important.
be that because when the special forces guy like yanks him up to his feet, he's like, I wasn't doing anything. I swear to God.
I was just
really
bored.
boring. I was just playing Candy Crush.
Look, I put airplane mode on.
Yeah. So the leader special forces guy is like threatening this kid. And this is when Randy, our bank manager, whose anniversary is today, stands up and is like, you leave that young man alone. And the special forces guy is like, I'll shoot you in the head. And Randy's like, do it. You won't do it. I bet you won't. I bet you don't have the balls to do it. And the special forces guy just shoots Randy in the fucking head, whose anniversary is today.
RIP to a real one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Rip to a real one. Again, his story was the only one I was fucking invested in. And he goes out like a champ.
Well, him and his wife were so cute.
Like, yeah, he had a narrative arc. He was alive and then he was dead. He went through change.
Well, no, he does actually, like, joking aside, have a narrative arc. And his poor wife, if she ever gets the details of how he died, is going to regret telling him to be more assertive before he left for work that day for the rest of her fucking life. Oof. But
yeah,
again,
you keep that one to yourself.
That is as close to real storytelling as we get in this film. Poor Randy. Anyway, so the SWAT guys prepare to storm the building. Cage is like, well, what about Kenny? The SWAT guy's like, we don't give a shit. We got guys with fucking 100 hostages. We're not worried about this kid. He'll be fine. We're going to take these guys out and save the day. And Cage is like, it's my responsibility. And the SWAT guy's like, not anymore. And the SWAT guy walks off. Now, this is in the SWAT staging area, and there's like a bunch of rifles like laid out on the table. So Cage just picks one up and walks off with it. And I don't think that that's how armory management works, even in a situation like this.
No,
I really don't
sure
think that's how that works. So Cage goes around to the parking lot, and another one of the cops who showed up in backup is like, I'm gonna help you, man.
It's the black cop from the beginning.
Yeah. He's like, I can't ask you to help. And he's like, but we're brothers. And Cage is like, you're right, we are brothers. Let's do this. So
as I was watching this, though, I did make the joke from fucking Zoolander. They were my brothers, but not like a real brothers, like the way black guys say it. I just feel like it's more meaningful.
That's our second Zoolander of the episode.
There you go. So back in the bank, the special forces guys, this is the start of their master plan, guys. So pay attention. They take all of the hostages and they start zip tying them together at the wrists, like, so they're all connected to each other. The guy who had the smuggled cell phone makes a weird dive. Like the way the camera angles are done suggests that he's diving for the sniper rifle that is currently unattended.
That's what I was assuming.
Yeah, that's what I read it as well.
But he like swerves at the last instance because the sniper rifle is set up right in front of broken windows on the ground floor so he could just try and flee the fucking building. But regardless, he gets shot dead immediately. Again, no reason, no purpose or point in this whatsoever. But the bank assistant manager, the lead special forces guy, is like, listen, you're almost out of this. All you have to do when I say go, run out into the parking lot with all these people, get them to safety. And then, with no attempt at sleight at hand whatsoever, he drops a brick of C4 in her pocket. He might have wanted to be a little bit more subtle with this one, given the way the rest of the film plays out. Cage gets to the car with Kenny, who hops out and fucking hugs him. Again, Kenny's relationship with the cops make no fucking sense to me. The special forces guys give the high sign for the hostages to run, and they do, quickly getting directed around the side of some sort of Humvee vehicle by SWAT. And the bank assistant manager lady's like, he put something in my pocket. He put something in my pocket. So the secondary SWAT hero guy that we've seen in a couple of scenes in the movie reaches in, pulls out the C4, and is like, oh shit, and starts running away with it. And
instead of just throwing it.
Instead of, I literally put a line in about that. He gets away from the hostages, so he's the only one who blows up, but I guess he could have thrown it or something.
But also, it was like the weakest, like the movie ran out of money or something, because it was a very weak explosion. Like, I feel like if that was in her pocket, she would have been the only one to die.
Compared to the explosion produced by the same size brick at the cafe, you're right. It was weak as shit.
Yeah.
And so now SWAT storms in.
And the master plan starts coming together.
And the first step isn't bad. SWAT rushes in, and the special forces guys immediately blow all of them up with 2 grenades, which is pretty funny.
Yes.
But then this is their plan. They run out the front door carrying massive, heavy bags filled with money.
Also, they do it one at a time.
Yeah. Emo, Cage's son, special forces guy, gets shot down in the doorway immediately. The other guy gets a little bit further, but also gets shot to death. Leader special forces guy starts fleeing through the parking lot towards where Kenny and Cage are holed up and firing on them. The other cop that volunteered to help Cage is shot and killed by the leader special forces guy.
But like in a very unceremonious way, like we don't even see it.
Like the camera, like
it's
Cage
like Nick Cage is talking to him, and then doesn't get an answer. And he looks down, and he's just like on the ground, bullet through his head.
Yeah, exactly. So Cage is going to reload as the special forces guy like rounds the vehicle at him and is about to shoot him dead. But Kenny had grabbed the dead cop's gun and shoots the special forces guy in the chest, which distracts him. Dude,
enough. That school's getting so fucking sued.
He's gonna need so much therapy.
So much therapy.
Yep. This distracts the special forces guy long enough for Rossi to shoot him a couple of times, and then the SWAT guys just pump him full of bullets. Ridiculous scene.
And like he's on the ground dead, and they're still just firing bullets into him.
Crazy crowded lanes of fire too. You know what I mean? They're just like firing in the same plane that their friends are in.
Yeah.
It's absurd. So Kenny and Cage are sitting in the back of the ambulance in the aftermath. Kenny's mom shows up, and her and Kenny embrace. The leader of the SWAT team, who was not our like SWAT hero dude who got blown up by C4, who was all like dismissive of Rossi when she first showed up at the bank scene. It was like, you did good work today, and shakes her hand. It's so bizarre. Cage's daughter also shows up at the scene and hugs Cage in the back of the ambulance, and they tell each other that they love each other. It's very sweet. And then we get a scene cut to 1 year later. Cage is jogging around the town. And then when he gets home, it's a surprise party. His daughter and his son-in-law, not dead, are there, and their kid is born at this point, and even fucking Kenny is there with his camera phone.
The
which
kid's
makes
daughter.
no fucking sense whatsoever. None at all.
Nope.
I think on order of the court, Cage and Kenny wouldn't have been allowed to have any contact from here on out.
Yeah.
Due to the massive settlement that the township inevitably settled for. The dialogue is absurd. The whole scene is so fucking weird.
I thought it was a dream scene at first.
I thought everybody died in the bank shootout. I thought this was the end of Dog Eat Dog, basically.
Yeah. I thought the way it was shot, there's like this weird haze.
Yep.
People are together that like shouldn't be together. The movie tried really hard to convince us that the son-in-law had died. Like there's nothing going on. It's just Nick Cage yelling that he's dead. and we get no follow-up. We don't get like another cut to the hospital.
Yeah, I thought I missed something. I
It,
legitimately thought I missed this scene when he was saying he's dead, but no, the movie just missed the scene.
yeah. So I'm watching, I'm like, this is a dream. Like, this is a death dream. That's what I thought.
I had the same thought.
Would have been more interesting.
But no, then Nick Cage says, "Hey Kenny, why don't you pull out that crazy gizmo you have?" Like, it's
That
something not.
newfangled phone.
Is that what he says?
No,
Newfangled phone?
I don't remember what he says. I don't remember a dick about this movie.
It's extra funny because I think it is like you got that newfangled camera phone. I want to take some
I'm
new
gonna look it
pictures.
up.
He's like, I want to take some more pictures, like implying he's gonna take pictures of his family and his grandkid on somebody else's fucking smartphone. He doesn't know how any of this works.
No, not even a little bit.
And yeah, then fucking fade to black, credits roll. Incoherent. Absolutely incoherent. Funny though. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I guess a little
Oh,
bit.
it was hilarious. All right, I'm pulling up this scene because I have to see what he says because it is ridiculous. All right, we have the picture, we have all the people there, we have the baby. The baby's in pink, signifying that, of course, come kiss your granddaughter. Yes.
Oh, I missed that. That's funny. That's extra funny.
Oh, wait a minute. Hey Kenny, where's that phone you're always screwing around with? That's what. And then, like, the kid who plays Kenny, it's the weirdest. He's just looking down,
He's
frowning.
standing on the coffee table or something.
Looks at the camera, raises his phone to his hand, and then smiles. And then Nick Cage says, "I want to take some new pics."
Nude pics?
And new.
Okay.
And then as he's walking towards the family to take pictures, like, it just fades into the credits.
This movie was a mess.
It was completely incoherent, bad writing all the way around. I didn't hate the individual performances.
No, they tried.
Yeah, I like kind of looking back at it. Everybody tried, but the bad writing was too much to overcome.
Way too much to overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, we're doing this, this, and this," and the actors are like, "We're gonna try, but I don't think that's gonna work." The only one who was obviously phoning it in was Nick Cage.
Yeah, like, he 100% did not get. He was here. I think this might be the first movie that we watched where he's like, "I need the money."
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've watched some shit, but even in the shit, like, he's trying. You could tell that he has some sort of
I'm not
character
convinced he was
development in his
trying that
head.
hard and Pay the Ghost.
No, I think that he was. Again, it's something that he couldn't overcome bad writing.
I don't think he was trying that hard in the old way.
He didn't
Yeah,
have to.
but
He was playing Autistic Cowboy.
Well, no, he explicitly was not trying very hard because he didn't want to be in that movie anymore because that armorer almost got him killed.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
yes, there was
that's
that.
what I'm comparing it to. I don't think he gave too much of a shit, but he still broke out the classic Cage bits.
He did have a screaming.
Yeah.
Yes, he did do a screaming.
But otherwise, like, and again, given like the CVs of the rest of the actors and actresses, they fucking tried. I think they did a great job. I just think they were terribly written.
Yeah, the writing was childish, sophomoric, does not understand how the world at large works. Like someone who's had a lot of concussions from snowboarding too much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I said, I would recommend if you want to watch this film, do it while you're entirely distracted with something else. If you get flashes of this, like just somebody strobe lighting the elements of the story, it'll come off way better than it actually plays out. Because again, there's some good scenes, like the shootouts are kind of cool, the explosions are kind of cool. Just all of the dialogue webbing tying that together is just made of sand held together with hairspray.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand up to any sort of closer scrutiny. But if you just want some explosions and gunshots on screen, you could, without actually having any investment in what's going on, you could do worse than this.
Okay, it's a great movie to not pay attention to. Like,
yeah,
if you're like me and you do 6 things at a time constantly, this is a great movie to watch while, like, you're grinding Diablo 4.
Hell yeah. Agree in entirely. All right. So yeah, I think that fucking sticks a fork in 211. I think we're good. And we can move on far away from here and figure out. Rich, tell us what is next on the Wheel of Pain for us to watch here.
What is next is a film by a director we were just talking about earlier. We
Not
got
this guy
another
again.
we got another Francis Ford Coppola joint coming
Oh.
up.
Okay.
We're gonna watch The Cotton Club.
Oh, that's a long one too, isn't it?
It is. I mean,
2
for
hours and 9 minutes.
I'm about to say for
I think
Coppola,
there's
it's not the worst.
I think there's a director's cut.
I'm not watching that one.
You're not gonna. I might watch the director's cut.
I will probably watch the director's cut because I will watch anything where a character is Lucky Luciano.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. How many more Coppolas do we have on our
That's it. I think.
list?
I think that might be it because if you remember, after Peggy Sue got married, he said that he would never work with Nick Cage again.
Yeah.
So we have Peggy Sue got married, Cotton Club, Rumblefish. So everything before Peggy Sue got married, it's Boy in Blue definitely wasn't. Birdie definitely wasn't. Racing the Moon wasn't. Valley Girl definitely wasn't, and neither was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So we are done with the Coppolas.
End of an era for this podcast. This
At
will
least
be
for
the
now.
last Coppola.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like the 2-hour 19-minute cut is the director's cut.
Okay.
From what I can tell, it's called Cotton Club Encore.
Oh, do you know what I just realized? Not just realized. I think we had this conversation, but like I blacked it out of my brain. We have to watch
a musical.
That we have to watch the fucking Flash movie.
Ah, fuck.
I did mention that to you guys.
Yeah, I think
I vote we hold off on that until we can find shaky handy cam fucking in theater footage online of it because I don't want to give them my money.
Oh yeah.
No, absolutely not. That movie is getting stolen. I refuse.
Yeah, they really fucked up with that lead-in info thing because I would totally download a car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking download me a hoagie off the internet right now, goddammit.
I could
will
go
say-
for a hoagie.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Cotton Club. Coppola can make a film, and the cast list is pretty solid. We got Richard Gere, Diane Lane, Bob Hoskins,
Oh, I like Diane Lane.
James Remmer.
Bob Hoskins in this shit? Nice.
Hoskins is
yeah.
in this shit. Lawrence Fishburne, Tom Waits.
Oh, fuck yes.
Second
Okay.
appearance by Waits on the podcast.
Absolutely.
A second Nick Cage movie. He was in Rumblefish as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Also, I get to bring up my favorite Hoskins quote from when
Oh, I used to play King Lear.
yeah, when he didn't realize when he was cast in the Super Mario Brothers movie that it was a video game, and his like grandchildren showed him, and he's like looking at the little plumber hop on the like original Mario game, and he was like, he used to play King Lear.
Yeah.
This is amazing. But yeah, this should be fun. I'm intrigued. Mario Puzo. Why is
He
that name
wrote
ringing
because
a bell?
he wrote
He-
The Godfather.
He
I
did write The
thought so.
Godfather.
Did he write this? Hell yeah.
He's one of the,
Okay.
Yeah, he
he's
did.
one of the writers on it.
Mario
so.
Puzo, you fat fuck.
Is he? I've never seen a picture of that man.
He looks
He
probably
is.
exactly like you imagine.
Yeah. He's
I'm
the most
dead
Italian
serious.
dude you've ever seen.
Grandpa?
Yeah.
Oh my god, he is. Holy
told you.
shit.
I told you, if we just told you to picture what you thought he looked like, you would never have had to look up a picture.
Yeah, you'd
You're
just
right.
you'd be right.
You'd hit it out of the park. It's so easy.
Cool. So cool.
All right, good. Okay, we're set. We wrapped to 11. We've got our new marching orders. Let's call
Also,
it,
if you want
folks.
a good show to watch somebody play a pretty good Mario Puzo, check out The Offer on Paramount Plus.
Hmm.
I'll
Who
have to check
plays
that out.
the producer? What's his name?
Miles Teller,
Miles Teller. Okay. All
who's
right.
actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I am not a Miles Teller stan.
I can't. What is the name of that producer that produced The Godfather? Why am I drawing a blank? Oh, Robert Evans.
Well, he doesn't play Robert Evans. He plays I forget the dude's name, but the guy who plays
other
Robert
guy, yeah.
Evans is great. He plays a coked out Robert Evans. So
yeah, that's
good.
what Robert Evans is. It's
Yeah,
just a real... They had that cartoon show on Comedy Central about him where slashes his neighbor for a while.
Dude, it's so there's a scene in it I like where he's ordering a martini and he's saying all the ingredients, and then he asks for just a whisper of vermouth. And to then the guy he's with says, "Would you like anything?" And he's like, "It's 9:15 in the morning. 2 of those then, please."
Yeah, the only thing I ever really liked Miles Teller in was Whiplash.
Well, yeah, it's because it's the only good thing he's been in. I mean, again, I enjoyed The Offer.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, that sounds up my alley. I like biopics about the making of movies.
Yeah, it's 12 hours long. Everybody's really good. It gets very well cast. The guy who plays Coppola looks like Coppola in the 70s. The dude they got to play Pacino, holy shit, looks just like Pacino. And then
hell yeah.
And then you remember what a fucking smoke show Al Pacino was. And then you remember
people forgot about that?
Yeah, oh, people forgot about that.
Yeah, then, very explicitly because of that movie Jack and Jill, where he plays Dunkachino.
Yeah. then you remember what a smoke show young Robert De Niro is, and then you watch Godfather 2.
I don't know. De Niro always looked good.
Yeah, but like I don't
ask his like 28-year-old girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I would fuck Al Pacino. I'd fuck Al Pacino now. Just for the
prestige at this point.
Yeah. But like 72 Pacino, like I would date that man.
All right. Well, while you're waiting for our review of the Con Club to drop, please feel free to follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at cagefight_pod. Rich, drop the Patreon.
Patreon.com/NickCageFight. $3 a month gets you every episode without ads. $10 a month gets you them sweet, sweet bonus episodes that we will be doing when we're not pieces of shit.
$20 a month, they'll call you once a week. See how your day was.
We used to be pieces of shit. Not anymore.
No. Our hair is pushed back, not slicked back.
I used to live for New Year's Eve. And again, all of you YouTube people, comment, like, subscribe. Don't like, I don't give a shit. Just tell us we suck. I don't care. Do whatever you want.
It's
but
a free
interact.
country. All right, thank you for tuning in.
Not under Joe Biden's America.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you.
Bye-bye.